Hello and welcome to the Compensatory Education Program Monitoring presentation on allocations, reporting, supplement not supplant, comparability, and inventory for Title I Part A funds. My name is Micah Spangler and I'm joined by my colleague Girk Jagpal. We will be representing the Title I Monitoring and Support Office to provide information regarding the evidence necessary for these items. This training presentation will focus on CE items 11, 13, 14, and 16. Following this pre-recorded presentation, there will be an opportunity for LEAs to ask questions and receive feedback. Please keep in mind that you are always welcome to reach out to your region's assigned reviewer with specific questions regarding the federal program monitoring or the compensatory education program instrument. The first item is CE 11, allocations and reporting. The LEA must disperse Title I Part A funds as reserved in the Consolidated Application and Reporting System, or CARS. An LEA receiving more than $500,000 in Title I Part A funds shall reserve at least 1% of its allocation to assist schools for parent and family engagement activities. If an LEA receives less than $500,000 of Title I Part A funds, this does not apply to you. Within CARS, the LEA should reserve Title I funds as necessary to serve homeless children. There's no specific limit to the amount of funds that are reserved for homeless children. LEAs should also reserve Title I funds to serve children and local institutions for neglected and delinquent children. The LEA must use the same measure of poverty when determining poverty levels. For example, free and reduced priced meals should be measured consistently across each of the schools within the district. The LEA shall also designate as eligible any schools which has at least 35% of students from low-income families. If a school has a population of at least 35% Title I students, that school may be designated as a Title I school. The LEA shall designate and serve a school that is not eligible to receive Title I funds, but was eligible and served in the preceding fiscal year. This only applies for one additional fiscal year. The LEA shall elect not to serve an eligible school that has a higher percentage of children from low-income families. No more than 15% of funds allocated to an LEA for any fiscal year can carry over to the next year. The LEA should monitor their Title I carryover every fiscal year to ensure they maintain a carryover threshold of 15% or less. If an LEA exceeds the 15% threshold, they may apply for and be granted a waiver once every 3 years. If a carryover waiver is granted, the LEA will be asked to provide a plan explaining how they intend to spend down the carryover. This slide provides an example of the three-part reconciliation process of Title I Part A funds. The first component is the reported CARS school site allocation. Secondly, the site allocation should match the total amount of Title I expenditures budgeted within the School Plan for Student Achievement, or SIPSA, at the selected school site. Thirdly, the actual Title I expenditures should reflect the same amount within the provided fiscal document, such as the school site's general ledger. These three components should be in alignment. The evidence requested for item CE 11 include the Title I Part A general ledgers for the LEA and each sample school site selected for the FPM review, the LEA's Title I reservation and services, and the school plan for student achievement for each sampled school site. The CE reviewer will use the general ledgers to verify the total amount of Title I expenditures to reflect what the LEA has reported in CARS for the district and each school site selected for review. The LEA should provide a summary document to fully account for the district level Title I required and authorized reservations and services as reported in CARS. The SIPSA for each selected school site is necessary to verify that the budgeted amount of Title I funds matches the site's allocation as reported in CARS. The budgeted expenditures within the SIPSA must also be associated with the specific goals and strategies to address the student needs that were identified following a comprehensive needs assessment. CE 13 includes the requirements for demonstrating supplement, not supplant. If the LEA is a single school or a charter school, this item will not be monitored during the FPM review. This slide indicates that the district must use Title I Part A funds to supplement their state and local funds. This ensures that school sites will receive state and local funds that they were entitled to in the absence of Title I Part A funds. To demonstrate compliance with supplement, not supplant, the LEA must show that there is a method to how they allocate their state and local funds. Usually, LEAs provide a spreadsheet or a document that clearly demonstrates how state and local funds are allocated to their school sites. Sometimes this documentation also includes how positions are provided to school sites out of the state and local funds. In order to demonstrate compliance for CE 13, the LEA will need to provide the following evidence. Number one, a methodology document, such as an Excel spreadsheet with formulas. Please also provide a brief narrative explaining the spreadsheet and any other documents provided. As a reminder, the methodology document only needs to include state and local funds. Number two, duty statements must be provided for any Title I funded employees at the district level or at school sites selected for the FPM review. I will now pass it over to Gert to discuss the requirements of item CE 14.
Thank you, Micah. CE 14 is the comparability of services. The LEA shall have written assurances showing comparability of services across the district schools, and the LEA shall develop procedures for compliance and maintain records that are updated biannually to demonstrate compliance. In order to meet the requirements for CE 14, LEAs will need to provide the following: their written comparability assurances and policies. Many LEAs have this under their BP or AR 6171. You will also need to provide your comparability calculation form and supporting data. This form can be found at the bottom of the CDE's comparability page. The last item we'll be covering is CE 16, which is the equipment inventory. LEAs are required to keep a historical inventory record for each piece of equipment with the acquisition cost of $500 or more per unit. If you happen to have any capital expenditures, which are now items with a unit cost of $10,000 or more, they require prior written approval from the CDE. This next slide mentions that if you have equipment with a market value of $10,000 or more, it can be retained or sold by the LEA with a certain percentage of the market value or proceeds from that sale going back to the state education agency, or in this case, the CDE. If the equipment with the market value of $10,000 or more is retained, $10,000 or less is retained, sold, or disposed of, then the LEA does not have any obligation to compensate the CDE. These next two slides cover the list of things you want to ensure your inventory list includes. First, we have the item type or description, followed by the model and name, then serial number, the source of funding, the federal award identification number, which can be found on the documentation you'll fill out when you apply for federal funding, who holds the title, this is usually the district or the site, and when the item was acquired. Continuing on with the list, we have the original cost of the item. If the item was split funded, then the percentage that was funded with each funding source, where the item is physically located, the item's current condition, and then L and M don't always apply, but if the item was transferred, replaced, or disposed, then we'd need to know that along with the disposition date. The LE must conduct a physical inventory, and the results need to be reconciled at least once every 2 years. For information on purchases and disposal of equipment, you can visit the capital expenditures webpage at https://www.cde.ca.gov/SW/P the number 1/CAPITALEXPENDITURE.ASP. In order to be in compliance with the CE 16 requirements, we will need a historical inventory record going as far back as possible, and it needs to contain all Title I funded items with a unit cost of $500 or more and include the elements shown in the earlier slides. When reviewing, we will look at items that were funded out of the LEA reservations, and we'll also look at items that were funded out of each of the sample schools' individual site allocations. We also look for approval of capital expenditures when it applies. Last, we look for evidence of physical inventory taking place within 2 years. For any additional questions or information, please email us at timso@cde.ca.gov or call us at 916-319-0854, or you can look us up and find the contact information for individual Title I reviewers at www.cde.ca.gov/SP/SW/T the number 1/TIMSO.ASP. We're now done with our pre-recorded session. Micah and I will be joining you shortly for some live Q&A. And once again, thank you, and we will see you in a few seconds.